Perspectives on important topics.
They live in suburbs together. They live in the city together. They hang out together. They're all in the same family. We're the only idiots that fight because we want our voice to only be on one side. Like, does that even make any sense? And when the side loses, you lose everything. They, on the other hand, have a voice no matter what because somebody that looks like them is always in control.
Frank, candid, and straight to the point.
Well, it's just a skewed system.
Of course it is.
It's a lot of judgment.
But answer my question, though. Should we let people go? Should we let people go? Like, let's just forget about bail altogether. And if your neighbor commits a homicide and kills people, if you kill people and they next to you and you just let them come back and live right next to you, they can live upstairs from you. Let them come in their house.
This is The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app.
Now, he's the mayor of the city of Milwaukee. He's a young man. Give him a chance. I only complain about things that I care about. What I want you to do is pretend like I'm in St. Louis. And all I'm asking the mayor and the Common Council president and the Common Council, show me.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio in Milwaukee, here is Dr. Ken Harris.
You're listening to Truth in the Afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Harris, 833-212-1017. I got so much stuff I need to talk about today. I'm going to talk about mortgages, talk about all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Anyway, so my question for the day, are you at your place of greatness? Like, do you even know what it is? Like we talked about what you want versus talking about what you deserve, but are you at your place of greatness? I learned in life that everybody has a barrier to greatness. The problem is we go through life thinking that the barrier to greatness is somebody else, when in fact, many times, it's us. You know, like I've met the enemy and it is me. Most definitely. I have learned that when I don't get something done, when I struggle with something and don't achieve it, is my fault. But everybody has a barrier to greatness. Mine was distraction. So many other people would come in, hey, I need some help with, and I would go. And I'd spend time helping them become great, helping them with what they needed. And then I look around and there's nobody helping me and there's nobody left because they've all gone. Nobody say thank you. And now here I am. And then those same people will then circle around and say, hey, how come you haven't done this or that? And it's because they had distracted me. But I am aware acutely that I overcame my barriers to greatness because gifts God gave me. That I was able to move distractions out of my way, move people out of my way, and get things done. But then I realized that there are three things people rely on instead of their own greatness to pretend like they're great. If you have one, 833-212-1017. But I learned that people rely on three things instead of showing their own greatness. Number one, people rely on nepotism. They think people owe them something, so you just get it. Instead of greatness, I should get that job not because I'm great, but because that's my boy, that's my girl, that's my mother, that's my father, that's my uncle, that's my aunt, that's my cousin, so I should get it. We have churches built on it, businesses built on it, Fortune 500 companies built on it. Nepotism. Passing things down to people that don't deserve it, but because they're in your family, we're going to gift it to them. Number two, one of the three things people rely on instead of their own greatness is friendship. This group thing where everybody goes places together. Everybody does everything together. And if I'm just in the group, then the group is great. Somebody wins in the group, I win. Ding. I went along with the group, went along with the program. But then finally, it's when we rely on somebody else's lie. When we start to hear, oh, man, they're great, right? But what can happen when you're great and the bottom falls out? That's because you relied on the lie to fake your greatness instead of just being great. Now, the cool thing about it is that if you're great and there was nepotism, you can overcome the nepotism. If you're actually great based on what your gifts are, you can be great and rely on friendship. But if you're really great, you can be great and the lie won't tear you down. But that's not what we do. Because we rely on what other people think about us to make us who we are instead of listening to ourselves. And then we wonder why we're not great. We start blaming the man. We start blaming white people, cousin. Well, the way my father and mother treated me when I was growing up. Right. The fact that you know that that was wrong means you can correct it. But we don't do that. We fall back to nepotism. We fall back to, well, I can't get it. If I don't know nobody, I can't get it. For everybody that's gone through a corporate arena and didn't have a mentor, didn't have a sponsor, but still worked their way through, that's called greatness. So we have to look at it. If you're relying on nepotism, if you're relying on friendship, and if you're relying on the lies other people tell about you to say you're great when you're really not great, that's a problem. That means you have to figure out what your barrier is to your greatness. Too many other people will take the time to try to tear you down. Been victim of that recently. I would like to tell you it bothered me, but it didn't. It was actually expected. But then that's the one thing greatness gives you. You know how I can tell when other people are trying to tear me down? When other people are putting barriers in my way? When other people are saying things to other people to try to evoke a way that they treat me? There's only one place to look, and you got to do it in a way that's not arrogant, that's not uppity, that's not pleasing to God. You got to avoid that. That's when you will actually realize it. When people try to use nepotism to get next to you. When people try to use friendship to get next to you. When the same people that lied will tell you that someone else lied so they can get close to you, that's when you'll know you've reached greatness.
And that is Dr. Ken's Truth on the new 1017 The Truth. The new 1017 The Truth wants to thank you for